All right, guys. So let's talk about why silence is power. It's one of those things that it's culturally, for some reason, culturally, people do the opposite. They talk too much, they express too much, they post too much. So let's talk about how to reverse it and why you have to reverse it. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you like this video, all right? Or else I'm closing the channel. Let's begin with the video. You see, I don't know where people got the assumption that being an open book is something that gets you places in life. That saying the truth 100% of the time is what you have to do. And don't get me wrong, I do want people to be honest. And I do want people to have morals. The type of silence that I'm talking about is not deception. The type of silence that I'm talking about comes from a place of power, comes from self-control, comes from letting people talk, being a good listener, not being so self-absorbed in yourself and what you have to say that your energy is your energy and desire to get to know things is outward, not inward. You're not self-absorbed. You're the opposite of self-absorbed. You let people talk and you listen to them. Is not only does that make you likable, but if you let people talk and you listen more, you also come across as more interesting, which is ironic, right? When you're someone that doesn't talk that much and yet you get people to talk more, people end up having the impression that you're someone that's interesting, even if you never said anything. Because people's impression of you is pretty much dictated on how you make them feel. And usually is dictated by when you first meet them. The less you try to create a positive impression, the more of a positive impression we give them. Because when we're getting to know people, when we want their validation, it'll be expressed by those which one is talking the most. When you try to see who has the most power, you pretty much look who talks the most. I mean, who talks the least. I remember when I worked as a social worker. When I first started working there was two bosses. It was Georgina and I forgot her name, to be honest with you. Look at that, I even forgot her name. Shalia, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, so the first lady, the real boss, actually, the Shalia lady, she was this, it's what you would imagine a meditation teacher, right? Like she was this like, hey, they talk like that. Oh yeah. And then she wanted to teach, she just had that vibe of let's go on a hike and let's turn on some incense and let's save the world. Like that's the type of vibe that she had, right? Spiritual. Hey, Alexis, how are you feeling emotionally? That understanding. And in her mind, I imagine that's what she thought that she had to do to get people to like her. And then you had the other boss, Georgina. She had more of a limp. She was this black lady. She didn't smile that much. She gave me the vibes of Judge Judy or Judge Mathis, right? That's the type of vibes that he gave me. Where Shalia, she gave me the vibe of I don't know, the lady, the Devil Wears Prada, the weak lady, not Miranda Priestley, but the main character. She had those vibes. And Shalia and Georgina had the vibes of Miranda Priestley, to be honest with you. But she was actually warmer than Miranda. She smiled and she had a pretty nice smile. And the funny thing is that because she barely smiled also, when she smiled, her smile looked really pretty because she barely smiled. She barely laughed, but when she laughed, everyone was happy. It was one of those laughs that when you got her to laugh, you actually felt you did a good job. But one of the things about her was that she didn't speak much. But it was one of those things that when she spoke, everyone's attention just gravitated towards her. God, I feel bad for her kid. Her kid didn't do shit. Because I know goddamn well that she will whoop that ass. I know her for sure. Hey, man, I remember having a mom like that. Tyrone could not take it. It was too much of an ass whooping. Anyways, I gotta go. Right? And her main source of power was in what I just told you. Her tone, she reminded me of Vivian from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She had that sophisticated, just stay almost like, yes, Alexis, Yes. You forgot the paper? I remember one time I forgot we were going to a client's house and I forgot the papers. And she was like, Alexis, all right, let's finish this. Alexis, did you bring the papers? And I was like, oh, fucking Christ, I forgot the papers. And I was like, oh, Georgina, I kind of forgot them. She was like, you forgot the papers? And I was like, yeah. She's like, no problem. We're gonna go and get the papers. We'll be back. She didn't say shit. We got in the car. Nothing. We sat down. She waited for me. Went inside. Went back and got the papers. She was like, did you get them? And I was like, yeah. Didn't say a word. Like, that's how she was. She pretty much just spoke without words. And I remember for like a few weeks, I thought she was like the main boss, and she wasn't. I was shocked when I found out that the other lady, Shalia, that she was actually the boss of the place. It was all because of her nonverbals. Like, just think of I want you to really think back in your life, right? Think about those types of people in your life. You'll notice that all of them emanated power, right? One of the things that I do is I love watching interrogation videos from cops, and especially when the suspect wins, because a lot of the times these interrogation videos, all you have to do to win is not talk. Even if they threaten you, all you got to do is not talk. And the most powerful tool you have when it comes to the criminal justice system, and even it's just that is your silence. Your silence is your power. Information is money. You talking freely is pretty much giving out money for free. So let's read some quotes based on silence that I find so fascinating, and that it applies and that will convey to you why silence is so powerful. Read this, right? An attorney once told me, before you speak, there are many roads you can take. As soon as you speak, there is only one. Always remember, you can't talk your way out of trouble, but you can talk your way into trouble. And this is the thing. If you're someone that doesn't know how to control their mouths, that always expresses their feelings because you want to be genuine, I know that if you look back in your life, there is a whole line full of misunderstanding and full of unnecessary problems. Because when you don't control your emotion, usually you don't control your mouth. Whoever guards his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble, right? If you watch what do you call that movie? Goodfellas. The main guy, not the main guy, but Paulie, he's the leader of all of them. You watch Paulie, and in the movie, he says that Paulie doesn't talk to anyone. Paulie just talks to very few people, and when he talks in a very low tone. We as humans have associated that people who don't talk, people who have confident body language and who have confident tonality, but yet don't talk that much, we have always associated them with having a position of power. Always. And we will always assume that when we see someone who's silent and has all the proper body language, we will always assume, despite not seeing any evidence, that they have power. And we won't test them. The less you talk, the more you are listened to, right? And this is something that I've noticed in my life. And Jesus Christ also did it, right? Jesus, a lot of the times, if you read the Bible, a lot of the times Jesus used parables and metaphors to explain concepts. In other words, rather than having a 10-minute explanation, he rather have a 1-minute metaphor or a parable to make people think, right? Jesus was excellent at having an economy of words and an economy of motion. I have a lot of regrets when I spoke, but I have never regretted when I remained silent. Umar Khattab. Silence is not only about being quiet, it's also about saying less about yourself, being a mystery. And a lot of the times when you're someone that seeks validation, Usually, speaking less is the last thing that you do, because getting the person's validation gives you positive emotions, gives you self-esteem. If you're someone that's always trying to make people to like you, always trying to get validation from even people who you don't even know, you're gonna speak out of turn. You're gonna end up saying something that gets you into trouble. Silence is not only about being quiet, it's also about saying less about yourself. Silence is a lesson learned from the many sufferings of life. Seneca wrote that. I'm reading a bunch of quotes from Sun Tzu and the Bible. Never assume that loud is strong and that silence is weakness. Never interrupt the enemy when he is making a mistake, right? All of those things, man, will pretty much equate that people who talk less emanate power, emanate respect. And it's not just talking less. It's also, like I always say, learning to control your nonverbal cues. Not having an crazy expression, like you know what I'm saying, and having a crazy range of emotion. In the public eye, you learn to have a limited range of emotion. You learn to express your frustration and anger in a more simmered way. You don't let your anger boil. You learn to speak and let your anger be subcommunicated, right? You know when someone's angry at you and yet they're trying to remain professional and relaxed. You want your anger or your frustration or your dislike to be shown in your nonverbals, right? Like when Angela Merkel, if you watch Angela Merkel, one of the things that she does is that when she doesn't like someone, she doesn't tell them she don't like them. She just gives them a look, like a look, right? Well, when you watch hood ass motherfuckers, right? Desperate Housewives or NBA wives or fucking women of Malibu. I don't fucking know. Like some, like, you know, what they do a lot is that they express their emotions through words more, right? What I want you to do is express your emotions, your frustration, your dislike through looks, subtle looks. Combine all of that, and you're going to emanate power. You're gonna give off the impression that you're someone who has some type of position in life, right? And this is why silence is not just something that emanates power also, right? If you have a silent mind, you also have peace. If you know how to handle silence, it also means you have confidence because you know how to relax in the middle of the void. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys liked it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.